Okay, so it's Hoy, Liz, and, well, I'm going to, for, roll call. Oh, yes. We call this, Yigo Municipal Planning Council meeting to order. It's now, 6 o'clock. Notices have been, posted in the Long Daily Post. First notice, Wednesday, March 4th. Second notice, Monday, March 11th, as well as on the Guam, Government of Guam portal. At this time, I'd like to ask the Secretary to take roll.
Laura Cairo, Robert Garcias, noting that Robert Garcias is present via Zoom. Vice Mayor Fernando Escos, Gregorio Calvo, Joseph B. Cruz Jr., Elizabeth Flickinger, noting that Elizabeth Flickinger is attending via Zoom. Peter Frias, Jack Hatzig, Mayor Francis Zama,
Present.
Jonathan McDermott. Ma'am, Jonathan McDermott will be party to this meeting. Norma Salas, Peter Santos, Geraldine Tennyson, present. Benito Coy Torres. Noting that Benito Coy Torres is attending via Zoom. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 present.
Okay, there being, 9, members present, we do have a quorum. At this time, I have a motion for the approval of the minutes, of January 2026.
So,
There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Pete Santos,
second.
Seconded by the Vice Mayor. On the motion on the approval of the minutes, any objections? No objections, so voted.
Madam Mayor, make a motion to, at this time, move to new business, and then revert back to, the financial report after the new business is completed.
There's a motion, on the floor, to proceed to new business,
I'll second.
seconded by Pete Santos. On the motion, any objections? No objections? Motion so ordered. Moving to new business, first item on the agenda, under new business is the, GLUC conditional use application and height variance application, by JRR Investment Group, represented by Mr. Daniel Stacy. Prior to this public hearing, this council meeting, there was 2 public hearings conducted by Mr. Swavey. If there's anybody here who has any questions, would like a brief of the application? None? Okay. So, again, thank you to Mr. Swavey for that.
I don't have a question, just a comment that we reviewed, I reviewed the proposal and the documentation, I don't find any objection.
Thank you for that, Mr. Santos. Anybody else?
Can I have a motion? To approve or At this time is 6:06, and acknowledging that our council member, Dr. McDermott, is not in the meeting.
So, Mr. McDermott, because you just arrived, we had two public hearings prior to this, by Mr. Lance Whately for JRR Investment Group. He did his presentation, a packet was emailed to each, council member back in January. Do you have any questions, any concerns that you would like to, would like Mr. Swayze to address? There be no, questions, concerns? No? Okay. Again, thank you, Mr. Swayze.
Excuse me, Mayor, so the requirement here is that the MPC adopt the resolution.
Yes.
Yeah, and that will be done. I'm happy to help you that.
So, of course, the purpose of this being on the agenda is that the council still has to, provide a resolution to, land management on our stand, whether we support or, we don't support. And again, Mr. Swayze, is going to assist us on that, and, that being said, would you like to go vote on this?
Yes.
Mr. Hafford.
I move that the municipal planning council draft a resolution in support of the approval of this project. Subject to it.
Okay, on the motion by Mr. Hafford, to approve the, applications, seconded by Mr. Pete Santos, is there any objection? No objections? Okay, there being none, so ordered.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, which is, the summary zone change. At this time, we have, Amy Wong Fang Gu, who's here, representing, Wu Feng Zhang and Ting Ting Lu, for lot number 1-1, tract 63007, Chalmette Gardens. Item, which is item number 100, with the zone change from agricultural to R2 multiple dwelling. As well as item number 2, which is lot number 1-R3, tract 63007, Chalmette Gardens. Applicants are Shannon Ping Wu and Amy Hong Fan Wu. At this time, I'd like to call, Ms. Wu, if you wanna just kind of like brief, give a little brief of your application to the council.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy. I'm owner of the property. We do the summary of changes. We constructed a single family home, winter for Guam. That is the way we intend to do that. And recommend so side by side with the property. I'll report. I think I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this. This is my first time. I'm so sorry.
No pressure.
Yeah. Actually, it's I don't know. Harry was the one is helping me here, and then he's in hospital. I guess.
Okay, so, So Mr. Harry Gutierrez is supposed to be here to,
Yes.
represent the applicants, however, due to an unforeseen, situation. However, they are, requesting for a zone change. This, Chalamacabanes is located, going into, Chalon Ramirez, in the area where, also, it was also known as, Hill Plaza. So there are two lots there, that is owned by, the applicant. And so they're just requesting for a zone change.
Mayor, if I may, if I remember correctly, Mr. Gutierrez did come and present. And the gist of this is, the neighboring and surrounding properties have already been changed as far as their zoning. And they're just wanting to also conform with the neighboring properties. And I think the discussion we had, there was really no issue.
And again, there is development in that area. There is a housing development, which is, once you enter into Chalon Ramirez, and then going further in, there are homes in there, which, to me is, I don't find a problem with it, because again, like Mr. Sanchez said already, you have, properties within that area that is also, zoned to, R1. Is there anything else you? Okay, so,
Want to see the resolution?
yes, so definitely these two applications will also need a resolution by this body. So is
So I make
there,
a motion that the council draft and submit a resolution to land management in support of this application.
okay, on the motion, seconded, on the motion by Mr. Pete Sanchez, seconded by, Mr. McDermott, to support the, zone change from agricultural to R2 multiple. Is there any objections on the motion?
Just a clarification, one clarification, just to include both lot numbers in the,
Okay,
in the, to do that resolution.
so, on the motion, brought up by Mr. Hatfield, that both lot numbers, which is lot number 1-1 and lot number 1-R3. Of course, they will each have their individual, resolution. So, again, going back to the motion, by Mr. Pete Sanchez, seconded by Mr. McDermott, to support. Is there any objections? No objections? If there be none, so ordered. On the next item of the agenda, item C, wine rock products, we have Mr. Felix Benedenti here, who represents, HR.
For the mayor and members of the commission, sorry, members of the council. My name is Felix Benaventi, representing Hawaiian Rock Products. We do not have an application for you to review or approve, and but we are here because of a condition that was put on previous approval placed by the Guam Land Use Commission back in 2014. And Frank Toigui from Hawaiian Rock is here with me to answer any questions. And Frank, you can just pass on. I don't have a slide presentation, but I do have just a 4-page handout. And it is pretty simple. The first page, actually, the title is Public Notice for Reactivation of HRP Quarry Activities on Lot 7093 in Yigo. Hawaiian Rock has not been using the quarry for many years. And one of the conditions of the commission back in 2014 was that should they decide to activate their operations, they need to do public notice held at the mayor's office. So, yes, ma'am.
Just to inform the council, this property that he's referring to is in Mount San Rosa, where, Rocky
Mhm.
Mountain, precast is at.
Yeah, that's the second slide, and the lot is bounded by the orange property, orange color. So the third slide, the Hawaiian Rock Yigo Quarry has been in operation since the 1980s in some form. And it went inactive in the 1990s to 2000s due to economic considerations. In 2014, they went to the Guam Land Use Commission because they were required to submit a conditional use application for a quarry in an A zone. The Guam Land Use Commission approved the application and issued notice of action 864294, which is this document and is referenced in the timeline box in front of you. Condition, in that approval, they listed 7 conditions, and I'll give a copy to the mayor. Typical conditions are comply with, public health, EPA, fire department, building permit, all that kind of stuff. But the key one, and the reason why we're here, is condition number 6, and it's on the first timeline box, which says applicant to coordinate with the Yigo Mayor's office to have a village meeting prior to commencement to resume blasting and quarrying operations, and thereafter on an as-needed basis. This meeting shall be open to all parties to express any concerns, and applicant to provide a copy of the results of the as-needed basis meeting, including the initial meeting prior to resuming quarrying operations, to the chief planner. After this was issued in 2014, Hawaiian Rock did not continue with operations. They remained dormant because of economic conditions. There was no need to resume quarrying. The market wasn't there for their product. The conditional use approval expired 5 years later, or was due for renewal 5 years later. So they came back in 2019. 2019, Hawaiian Rock still had not continued operation of the quarry. It still remained dormant. So the Guam Land Use Commission, in its condition of approval, issued another notice of action, required that same thing, number 7, right? If you're gonna open, you gotta have a public meeting and tell the people what you're gonna do. And at that time, this was a big thing because they were doing blasting. And the neighbors wanted to be told, if you're gonna be blasting, you gotta have public notice and all that kind of stuff. It was back in 2014. Well, in 2019, this notice of action was due for renewal. Came back in 2024, a couple years ago. And it was just a renewal, so it didn't, with no activity. So the Land Use Commission granted another renewal with the same condition, okay? So here we are in 2026, and Hawaiian Rock now wants to activate the quarry. So in compliance with that condition back in 2014, we came and visited the mayor and says, Mayor, with respect to this condition, we would like to schedule a public notice meeting sponsored by Hawaiian Rock. The ad will be paid for by Hawaiian Rock. And the mayor said, okay, but let's tell my council all about this, right? So that's why we're here. Just to let you know, and that we're going to be working with the mayor to put up a one or maybe 2 public meetings. Just by the way, the result of the first series of meetings is like nobody showed up. So they didn't have to do a second meeting. There was no attendance. There was a lot of activity during the meetings, but when the meeting was called by the mayor back in 2014, there was no response. So instead of continuing for another meeting with nobody showing up. They just didn't do anything. Okay. The last slide, so that gives you a history of these conditions. The primary extraction, here are the basic features of the reactivation plan. And that's really what it is. It's a reactivation notice. The key community assurances are there is no drilling and no blasting. Similar to, there's no explosives stored or used on the site. There will be no processing screen plants on site. All stormwater will be contained on the quarry, so there's no chance of water, leaving the property and causing it flooding. Dust will be controlled with water trucks, and EPA compliant measures will be put in place. And operations will stay within the long permitted quarry footprint, which is that outline that I showed you on the map there. All the operations will be in there. Mr. Frank Toigri is here to outline any details you may have. The primary extraction method is the surface mining machine. Frank can tell you what the surface mining machine is. Just a loader, a Caterpillar excavator, and the rock breaker, right, Frank? And the Volvo water truck. And pretty simple operation. To me, it's pretty simple, but if you want to have Frank answer any of your questions, he's right here. Mayor, that concludes my presentation, but Frank is available to answer any questions that you may have. He will be the point of contact, and his phone number is with the mayor. And thank you for hearing us.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council members, any questions?
I'm a relatively new resident of Yigo. Who owns that property? Hawaiian owns it. Okay.
Don't introduce yourself, Frank.
Good evening, my name is Frank Toigri, I'm from Hawaiian Products, and I'll be the face, the voice for Hawaiian Products in regards to lot 7092-3, otherwise known as the Yigo Park.
I got a question to show, so my family is the one that's within the that matches there, right?
Two room, right?
Yes.
Plus.
Yeah. So along the fence line, already houses have been done. Just for your strength, something that I can know, will they be impacted at all by farming?
No, because again, we're not using typical quarrying operations, which is interior glass and all the non-vibration and testing. And so now we kind of switched our mode of operation. Put into context, you all see the wire work place doing road repairs, right? We've got this big machine that rips up the asphalt. So that's what our surface mine looks like, just on steroids. It's like 3 or 4 times the size of that, but it really just back and forth, just cuts and depth and depth. So ground vibration is minimal, dust is minimal. Effectively, there's going to be more associated with that kind of an operation, but nowhere near, typical drilling blasting operation. And specifically to this particular site, because of over the years, there's so many residences, it's kind of built up from the time we stopped to present day. So obviously, minor are still common and being the name, trying to be neighbors.
I have a question. There's going to be a lot of major big dump trucks coming in and out. Okay, so in the event, if you guys will be taking about 15, that damages the road going there, are you guys also willing to help and repair the road? Those are heavy trucks that are going to
I guess we're why not someone that repaired that road,
Yeah,
so remember that.
let's say, in time, the road gets cracked.
I can't speak for that, I can speak to, and authorize that, that's well above my pay grade to speak to, to your question. But it is noted, and, I do understand where you're coming from. Yeah, I can't obligate Wine Rock to.
I know you're part of the benefit of our village, but also if it's gonna damage our whole, our people in there, to, we're not have to go through that, so. I want to find out if there's, is there a plan B in case that thing happens?
Peter, let me address that, Frank. Obviously, Frank can't obligate his company, but, I've been thinking about the company to, whatever, damages are caused by the Hawaiian Rock operations, especially on the road, we'll have to bring it up to higher than Frank.
I just wanted to,
Makes sense, it makes sense.
make everybody think about that.
Sure. And when we have and when we have the public meeting, after this, I'm sure that'll come up. And Frank, I'm glad you brought that up, because Frank then will talk to his boss and say, hey, boss, guess what?
Expect this question.
Yeah, expect this question.
So that's the question that I was gonna ask, is
Yeah.
when we conduct these public meetings,
Yeah.
will those who are able to respond to those kind of questions be there?
Well, Frank will be there.
And so even after this, I still gotta debrief my office and let them know. And that's the reason why we're here. We want to use your council as a sounding board for, things that will potentially come up at the actual Yigo, community. And yeah, that's a good point. I can definitely hear that and say, hey, these are the things that, that questions that we can expect to get. How do we want to present?
I know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So just, piggybacking off of that, I know something about the not sure if there has been some priority brought up previous, right? But, to my understanding, that road is all pretty much private property with, right? So the real easement goes along the mountain, right? So, to my understanding, there was a gentleman's agreement way back.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so I think now that we're moving back to the table, maybe that's something that we can reevaluate, and whether or not that's still something that we'd like to keep. Is that gentleman's agreement to continue accessing the private property to get to a park, right? That's because, to my understanding, that is the only way to get there. So maybe that's something that you can do.
Well, so I didn't anticipate that, so, from Mount San Rosa, right, that improved road, kind of mill road, if you will. Hawaiian Rock obviously will definitely maintain that road, because that's, we know our operations, as well as a matter of Rocky Mountain, pretty much maintains it, right? We're probably gonna take that over from them, because we're probably gonna be the ones that are gonna destroy that. No road.
So that's my understanding, you guys are leasing out to Rocky Mountain. That was the-
Correct.
And so what I heard from them was that the plan was to fully evacuate Rocky Mountain by the end of
No, they have a laydown area, which is the target, work area.
Yeah.
They dedicate that site. Yeah, it's only like probably like, I'd say the northern portion of that block, block 22. They've been using it as a laydown area for all their
And
finished
then you
jobs.
guys can be more towards like the back.
You know, that little pointed portion, that's the area.
And so last question, it says requiring on an as-needed basis, right? It's right here number 6, 2014, right, as-needed basis.
So acquiring, so that people, so that the residents see that it's still acquiring.
Yes.
Is really what that was going after.
Okay. I just wanted to get an idea if there's even enough rock.
Oh, yes, there's, trust me, we wouldn't go there if we hadn't, done the calculations and if it was a worthwhile, venture, we wouldn't have done it. But yes, there's sufficient material there, so.
Well, so, yeah, hopefully, there can be a second unit.
Oh, good. There will be.
And then hopefully we can have more, input from that side.
But I do know that improving that access way benefits not only us, the residents, as well as what they're gonna benefit from. And you see the side of the roads that
Yeah.
cut out of the grass area. So I know that it's gonna be improved, that was kind of a given, now that we would improve that entire road.
I have two questions. So obviously, from the photographs, there was a previous quarry operation. What concerns, if any, did the initial operation raise in the community?
Drilling and blasting.
Drilling and blasting?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was looking, and that was well even before my time, I had to go back into the.
Yeah,
Dig it up.
I can take it back further. I was involved before Frank, and he even had an asphalt plant at one time. And there was smoke and, that kind of stuff. So all that stuff is gone. And that actually was one of the reasons why this requirement for public meeting, public notice meeting, even though there's already some kind of legal requirement, because you have another quarry in Yigo, right, down the back road there. When this blasting is gonna happen, it has to be advertised. So this is in addition to that blasting notice.
Mhm.
But, 15, 20 years have passed. Blasting is like old technology now.
I wouldn't say old technology, it's,
Further operation in Yigo.
well, specifically for the geo operation, right, it didn't make sense to drill the wells, it absolutely did not make sense.
But that was the big question, the big issues back then, Peter, was the blasting, the dust, the smoke from the asphalt plant.
And then my second question, if Hawaiian Rock what is the post-operation plan? Once the quarry is done, what are you guys gonna do with that property?
It has its own closure plan, and honestly, I haven't read into it, because in my mind, the closure is still way out there. But there is a closure plan for that site.
Did you have a projected timeline on how long this is gonna be for?
With the particular phase that because we kind of phased that whole site. That first phase should last between 3 and 5 years.
We did put together a closure plan, and it had a 25-year projection. And that was assuming that the operation would continue, but because there would be like no action, so the 25-year plan became almost like 30 years, because of 5 years of inactivity, you just stretch the timeline. So, there is a plan, but it just keeps moving forward every time it stops. So,
Well, is it like, you guys gonna do housing development there?
No.
No?
No, I mean, let's face it, it's been a permitted quarry for more than 20 years. And quarries, we all know what quarries, the old ground. And that's, no, it wouldn't be suitable for anything other than how we do that. I don't know.
That's not a word.
Yeah. Just the ballpark.
Yes. Which is just fills it with the process, things that I think they took out, so, and then makes some avenue people. If done correctly, they get back to that, we build homes, but it depends on, like, how deep they go and all that stuff.
Well, they have these data centers that, people wanna build. They can build it there and then cover it up, because it has to stay cool, if it's deep in the ground.
Little ideas, little documents still operating in there, they move to that documents.
Good question. We were just discussing that. From what I understand, from what I know, with Rockman, yes. Rock 3 was just supposed to be like a satellite site, and we still have their operation of the G.
So after this, we'll work with the mayor to set up a schedule for our meeting. I think we wanted to have it at the gym, and we'll work that out, and there'll be the public notice ad in the paper, and of course, they're all welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Benavides, and, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
So again, public, notice will be given to the community, for this, meeting. I know Mr. Benavides earlier mentioned that we're looking at a 3-week timeframe. They want, at least within the next 3 weeks for this.
Yeah, because we need the, the time, you gotta work with the paper, maybe like 2 or 3 days to build the ad and then make stuff. And it's not a open government law, I mean, we don't need to have public website and all that, this is just a public informational meeting, that's it. There's no resolution, that we need from you, unless you come back for renewal of the conditional use, which is going to expire in 2028. Come back to the
So, again, that date will be coordinated, and I will inform you as to the date, and then, of course, getting it out to the Yigo residents. Thank you, Mr. Benavides, Mr. Closely, and likewise to Ms. Wu. Thank you, and Mr. Sweet.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to, item D, GBG Destination Development and Management Program. I know back in January, I did mention that, there was a grant that, GBG gives to, each village. We were looking at, revitalizing the Yigo Fiesta Mini Carnival. However, when GPP got back to me, it was already kind of late because, it was like usually a week and a half away from when we anticipated, doing this, event. And so I didn't want to rush. So, I just responded to them that, we're going to, postpone that until next year. So of course, that being said, come next year, I would have to reapply for that grant. However, I did talk to, Brandon and also, Craig Camacho. They are the two from GBB that, I've been working with on the grant. I did mention to them that, we were discussing another festival, which is the International Food Festival. That was one of the festivals that was thrown out, and so, yes, and so, looking at the schedule of events throughout the island, it's something that we don't want to conflict with. I know one of the dates, would be in June. So, we're in March already. That date is not set in stone. We can always revisit that and choose another date, but of course it has to be outside of the other festivities that are taking place around the island. One thing for sure GBB did ask is that, that they do their night market on Sundays. They had asked that if we do decide to do a festivity or the mini carnival, that on Sunday we either shut down early or we don't do anything that week. Which to me, it only makes sense because they are also contributing grant to the festivity that we want. So, of course, that wouldn't be a problem for at least on our part, I'm sure. So, again, the one for the fiesta was postponed, and then I do have the application, so it's kind of like just trying to figure out a date when we want to do this festival. Because of course we have to submit the application. How long it takes, I can't answer. Definitely, if it's, anything above $10,000, it goes through the GD board. Anything, 10,000 and below, will not have to, so. And by the way, we were approved for that 10,000 with the Yigo Fiesta. But, again, unfortunately, the timeline was just not, in our favor.
Mayor, when you mentioned June, were you thinking about this June or next year?
Well, I just threw out that date only because I was looking at the calendar of events, I don't know why. So I was looking at dates that are available, so, again, June is just a date I threw out. We could always have it later, or, we can wait till next year. But, we still have time this year, so, again, what I will do is I will forward you guys the proposed, listing of, festivities around the island to include the fiestas, so that we don't, again, conflict with their schedule.
One benefit, if we did June, festival, we can use that as a fundraiser for the, different
Deliberation.
Yeah. That would be like the key point that I want to forward to have, use that as a fundraiser point for the deliberation, and,
That's my idea, because, as you recall last year, we were seeking a candidate and we were like one of the last entries. And so, trying to raise funds for that was a task in itself, trying to, and, my thing is, coming in, last year, we're not in it to compete, we're just in it to participate, right? To get that into the participation, but of course, eventually down the line, it's gonna be, we're in it to compete. So it's just kind of like getting our feet wet all over again. So, again, this year, hopefully we're towards that competition side. But, again, of course, a lot of us is still kind of wet behind the ears on this, but nonetheless, I'm sure that we'll make it happen. Again, we're in it to participate, just bring back the annual village participation. Moving on to, to the next item, Clutch Guam. So some of you may know Clutch Guam. What it is they host these sporting events for the youth as well as for the adults. So they have one which is coming up in July, I believe. However, team registration deadline was May 1st. So they have the Creative Sports Initiative, which is for youth ages 6 to 17. And this is 100% grant funded. It's a summer program. So all the kids that participate, if we decide that you want to put out a basketball team, a volleyball team, or a soccer team, whatever sports that they have, it's at no cost. Kids can participate at no cost. Aside from that, they also get free uniforms, maybe free sporting equipment, bags, whatever they decide to give to the kids. This is all free at no cost. So I did reach out to the one who's coordinating this, and I had asked whether how many teams were allowed to put out. Only because I know last year we did a call out for volleyball and basketball. Volleyball wasn't all that much participation. We only had actually, response was, I would say, less than 5. Yeah. But, of course, basketball, we had a good turnout, being that there was a Easter league that was coordinated by Mr. Rafi of Vancouver, and we had, I think, like 12 teams. But the only thing with that was not all kids were from Chico. We had kids from other villages. What I'd like to do with this is get the kids from Chico, bring the kids out. So if any of you know of any coaches who wants to bring these kids together, May 1st is the deadline for registration. 6 to 17. And this is for the Creative Sports Initiative. Then this is the 100% yes.
I'll share it on the PCC, so we can come on the
Okay, the other program is the Men's Village Basketball. So of course, this one here, it's 8 to 10 weeks. However, I believe the entrance fee for this one is maybe, I believe, $1,200. So that's another program that we're doing. But my target is basically the 6 to 17, because this is the summer.
Yeah.
This is the summer, so we want to get these kids out. Any questions? Okay, so. Yes, Mike. So they're looking at starting in July.
kickoff ceremony is June 20th.
Okay, kickoff is June 20th. And then I believe it starts in July. But registration deadline is May 1st. That's the drop dead deadline. So if you know, I mean, especially because you are part of the ISA Basketball Association, maybe you can get with your fellow members to round up some kids, and also, of course, assistance in coaching. I think that would be our challenge, is just to find coaches for these teams that we decide we want to put out. So if you can use your network, all of us have a network of teams, Jack, and when you volleyball.
Yes. I'm gonna be off, I did in June here, but definitely I have a set of coaches, new coaches that won't be, they'll be here for that, so.
Okay, so. So, yes, we're gonna reach out to the schools, because I know, DL Paris, they've been using the gym. They have a basketball,
They have like a basketball team.
they have a basketball team that's been using the gym, so eventually, I'm gonna reach out to the schools. And again, when we reach out to the schools, and we do get these kids, it's just a matter of finding coaches. So, I'm hoping that, that being said, that your association is able to come out and assist us with that.
How about the men's basketball, when is it gonna start?
I didn't see any date on that one. I can go back. I might be wrong, but I can go back and take a look at the date. But I know, again, going back to the deadline. The deadline, May 1st, I believe, applies to not just the youth, but also the adult, the men's.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, May 1st is the drop dead deadline.
So the youth is still on the track.
Yes, the 100%
The
correct.
men's are 400 entry fee.
I'm sorry, 1,500. 1,500. So that 1,500 covers the uniforms and the lead preparation. But for the unit 6 to 17, it's all free. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so that was our last item on the agenda under new business. Can I get a motion to revert back to the financial report?
So,
There's a motion by Mr. Nakto, seconded by Mr. Pete Frias. On the motion, any objections? No objections? So ordered. Okay, back to the financial report. Okay, so our general fund, the appropriated funds, this is the one that is provided for every fiscal year. So last year, fiscal year 2025, there was a carryover. That was because of the law that allowed the carryover. So for our general fund, our balance that was carried over from previous fiscal year was 9,202.21. Our total expenditure, so the expenditure includes our Xerox machine, the lease and the prints, copying, office supplies, cleaning supplies, and then one of the items as well was the retiling of the senior center. That was just submitted recently, I believe it was last week. So that one there, again, because of the amount of what the cost is for the retiling, I'm able to not only use one account, but use different accounts to come up with the cost for the retiling. And that would be for this senior center. So with the expenditures, the balance is 2,558.26. For the GEF account, which is the Guam Educational account, our beginning balance was 38,987.40. Of course, the expenditures, which was 29,545.96, included, of course, purchasing of office equipment. I'm talking about large equipment, water roster, tree trimmers, other items. Also, the senior center, which is the windows and the leaks. Did you notice here in the wall? We're trying to address the leaks because one, given the conditions that we've been having in the room, it's safety for farming markets. So that's one thing that I'd like to do. Given also that this center, when it was built back in '99, no renovations, no repairs has been done. So now we're just trying to bring it back up to speed with the repairs and the windows, of course, again, in addition to tackling that one, whatever damages. So we want to address that again because of the safety of our senior citizens and of course the public that uses the center. So our balance is 9,441.44. And then we have the limited gaming fund. Limited gaming fund, again, of course, is very limited on what we can use it for. It's sports facilities, sports equipment, entrance fees for teams. That's pretty much what we can use it for, supplies for the gym. So the balance brought forward from last fiscal year was 10,548. Expenditures was the basketball league entrance fee for the kids and gym supplies like the restroom supplies, cleaning supplies, of course, even, basketball, volleyball. So, expenditure is 2,776.84, our balance is 6,771.62. And then we have the supplemental budget. Beginning balance 16,097.76. Our expenditure, again, we copied our lease agreement with Prince, and then also our daily post expenditures for the ads for the public hearings, for the council meetings. And then also purchases of canopies. Of course, that was something that we needed because seeing the amount of requests, so we went ahead and purchased 10 additional canopies. So we're able to service more residents. So the expenditure was 5,369.51, which gives us a balance of 10,728.25. And then we have the debit buffer strip. So this account, again, going back to this account, this has been in existence way back, I think even back during the, I want to say the 22nd law legislature. So a portion of the funds that's collected from the businesses starting from White Sandstone traffic light down to Delaware Payless traffic light. The businesses there, we pay a portion. The only thing is when they passed that law, it was only for 10 years. So all the businesses along there were paying a certain amount of fee monthly for 10 years. So whatever's collected, I'll give you an example, 10,000 collected 1 month, 2/3 goes to Denville, 1/3 goes to Chico. So that's how we were able to get this funding. And so it was just last year that we were able to utilize this, because I know in previous, during Melissa Savar's time, they were trying to access this funding, but there was some issues regarding the accounts. But we managed to work that out last year, and so the total amount that was available for Chico was 109,000. So, of course, to date, the balance that was brought forward was 107,995. Expenditures out of that, one was the kitchen renovation, which is ongoing. As you notice, the Manampus here are currently at the Stumbo Center. And that's only because of the work that will be done. I did not their operations to be interrupted with all the noise and the distractions. So we are temporarily having them at a Stumbo Center. So the contractor was here last week, cleared up the kitchen, so now we're just bringing in their materials to start the work. And that's one of the reasons why when I put in the procurement for the retiring, while they're not here, I figured, okay, how about we just include that so that when they come in, already the tiles have been changed and our kitchen's been done. Another item that was, yes?
How much is the cost of the renovation?
The kitchen renovation was 24,850.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then on top of that, we just purchased a trailer. And this trailer, right now, we have one unknown from Delaware Mayor. Of course, we're gonna have to return that sometime. And then we also have, I think, 1 or 2 that is personal. So, of course, the work that we do, transporting trash, now that we're into the program of tire removal, this is a big help to the staff. So the total amount of the expenditure for this account was $34,850. So the balance is $72,145. Again, because we are approaching, we're already halfway through the fiscal year, and I'd like to work on procuring some other stuff. I know that one of the biggest things is junk vehicles. It's gonna cost between $600 to $700 per vehicle. So that means that we have more, I want to say more than 300 vehicles out there. So again, the vehicle removal was returned back to DPW. They are still working on the process of how they're going to manage this program. I don't know whether this program allows for those residents who have requested removal from their private property, which was done previously. But I'm not sure that they're only going to stick to PCs. So that being said, residents, again, I don't know how we're going to deal with that. I guess when that time comes, we're just gonna have to address that. But, we're talking about residents, it's just residents alone, and most probably over 100 cars, maybe over 200 cars. Easements, I want to say maybe over 100. So, just trying to address that issue.
When we start, DPW, when we start taking over this?
Already, they're in the process of working out, I guess, whatever their regulations, because they have to get with EPA, because EPA is actually the one funding this program. So, of course, they have to work it out with EPA. Now, how they're going to work it out with the mayor's office, we haven't heard anything. We're still waiting on that. So, but of course, once we get word, then eventually we're gonna have to share it with the residents. Because how that's going to impact them, we don't know. We don't know whether, again, going back to, are they going to go into private property? Not like before where they're smart buying money and they come and pick it up. I don't know about this time. So, with this funding, yes, Mike?
Because we haven't started like the trash, and the about the stuff everywhere, especially like Yigo. You are saying that maybe that's those starting the family place, so we can sterilize those people.
We're talking about cameras, wow, let me tell you, people aren't picky, they just dump it. I'll give you an example, the tire shop right next to, Union Market. Somebody just pulled a abandoned vehicle and just parked it in front of their entrance. So, it's, I hate to say it, but, they're not picky. They can just dump it there at the tire shop.
They have surveillance.
They'll just dump it anywhere. So, it's not about their favorite spot, it's, when they can, they'll do it, no matter what. But, I did talk to, I had a chance to talk to Glenn Nicholas, who's the deputy administrator for EPA. We had a discussion regarding citing these residents. It's just a matter of going back and getting the information as far as the last registered owner, their phone number, their address, but I've been doing that and I'm finding out that a lot of them, the number doesn't work anymore or they don't live at that address. So where does that lead us? It leads us to a dead end. So, it's something that we just have to address ourselves. But, for the most part, when I do get a hold of the owner, they've been pretty good. They've been pretty good, but, again, a lot of these, majority of them, number doesn't work and their residence is no longer, so.
These vehicles that you investigate from our village or from?
No, I'll be honest with you, majority of them are outside of Yigo, as far as San Diego. So, it's one of those, they sell the car, but they don't change the owner. And so that's why, when I talk to the residents, I always tell them, when you sell the car, you make sure that you transfer the ownership to the new owner. Because again, I had an incident where somebody, had the car sold, they sold the car, but, I guess it was still under their name. So they had to pay to get it removed, even if they sold it. But, again, I always tell the residents, when they call or they come in, I always tell them, when you do that, make sure you change the ownership.
If you're getting a car away for free,
Yeah.
consideration and
Yes.
like going there to B&B, and you visually see that transfer, I mean, a lot of anywhere, it's really easy.
Yes, and I always tell them, whether you sold it and it's still in your store. So, yeah, so, going back to the funds, that's gonna be one of the things that we're gonna have to try and work out is, how much can we actually get rid of, given the amount per vehicle, $600 to $700.
Yeah, I remember like, it's like $150 or something, and I used to think that was just crazy, but these days, I mean, it just costs so much to process.
And the new thing now, in order for us, so if we remove the vehicle, in order to take it to the recycling, it has to be stripped. Everything out of the vehicle, it has to be down to the whole metal. So seats, the dashboard, steering wheels, all that. It has to be stripped. So that's another, yes. We don't have the manpower to do that.
That's a whole issue, just shipping vehicles, it's not even,
So, of course, when we remove the vehicle, and we're gonna take it to the recycling, we're gonna have to pay somebody to strip the vehicle. And then, 1, 2, we have to pay to dispose of that. That's another,
I'm all about it.
so. Yeah, so, of course, I will continue to get in contact with EPA on this whole vehicle, with that abandoned vehicle, junk vehicle issue. But of course, again, if we do tackle this ourselves. Okay? Any questions? So our fiscal year 2026 funding, for the general fund, we received 18,000. So a lot of the funding that we got from last year kind of dropped. So this year, general fund 18,000, for expenditure 5,016, and that's for monthly posts and PDM. Of course, when we do advertisements again. So, our balance is 4,984. Our general funds, operations. So there is the, village, general fund, and then there's the MCO, the mayor's council operations general fund. Beginning balance is 2364.21. Expenditure, which is our GTA, our internet, we don't pay for the phone lines. That's handled by mayor's council. The only thing we pay for is for internet. And then, of course, Xerox, office supplies, our cleaning supplies, and then Xerox, because we are on a month-to-month right now. So I put out another procurement for another lease, which will be a 16-month lease. So that's part of the expenditure for this account. So the total expenditure is $7,897.46. Balance is $15,786.75. Okay, and then we have the MCOG miscellaneous operations general fund. So this one here was an additional funding that was given to the mayors, all mayors actually. It was, I believe, 2 million. So we divided that into all the districts. We were given 105,263. Our total expenditures is 65,787.45. So of course that included, we are now putting out our procurement for ground maintenance. As you know, we only have 6 maintenance to handle the entire village. So in order to assist the maintenance guys, we put out a procurement to get the small lawn care businesses to come out and assist. So what I did was, there was one that I did specifically for Mataba, because I'm trying to get all these areas that are bigger than, in the village. So Mataba, it's from Mataba to Mystic Road. So that's one of the things that was put out. And not to say that they're the only ones, that's the only area, or I'm looking at other areas that we can also add to the ground maintenance to assist the guys. So I know I did mention also like yeah, and those are the 2 other big areas that they need help with. As you know, grass cutting for the guys is practically an everyday thing.
Yeah.
So, it's a non-stop.
Crazy.
You still in use?
So,
that already went out as well last week.
so I know last week, the mayor's council brought out the vendors to take a look at the area. So it's just a matter of them submitting their quote. And then, I believe the deadline was March 5th or 6th. So deadline for them to submit their quote. So I'm hoping that, maybe if not this week, then next week, they'll be able to issue a PO. Yes, I'm hoping that. Our next account is the Long Educational Facilities Funds. 62,427.86 was what was allocated. Our expenditure is 44,255, and of course this includes the fuel. And again, going back to the fuel, this is for all fleet or vehicles, our equipment, bush cutters, water blasters, you name it. And again, we may have to adjust what we allocated for this, which was 35,000, considering that the gas went up. Yeah. So how much that's going to last us? We may have to again go back put in additional funding for that. Because again, the fuel covers our vehicles, our equipment, so. And then, of course, one of the items as well is every year we have the, Jubilee Memorial, that's held in July, so always, planning for that, I had put in a procurement for that ceremony. So, of course, that leaves a balance of 18,172.86. And then the last, limited gaming fund, again, that's very limited on what we can use. 18,082 is what was given. Our expenditure is 7,796.37. And this again is, for the assembly, uniform for the kids, all the kids. Gym supplies, and, of course, the riding mowers, because, we justified it that we use the riding mowers also to maintain, the facility. So, that, again, we would use, this funding for things like, riding mower, which kind of, we have to justify why we are using this account, and because we are maintaining the facilities, so if that qualifies. So, the total expenditure was 7,796.37, which leaves a balance of 10,285.60. And that was for the FY 2026 appropriated funds. Now going into the non-appropriated funds, this is the Bank of Guam checking account. Our ending balance as of February 28th, 23,925.06. Of course, we had $1,100 in deposits, which was the civil wedding for December, and of course, from Mr. Spady and JRR for the pass. So that brought our balance up to 25,025.02. Now remember that 25 out of the 25,025.59, 20,000 is for the PETA grant that was awarded to the Yigo Mayor's office for its project. If you had a chance to take a look outside, there was a sidewalk that was put in. That was the Vice Mayor's project. I gave it to him and he ran with it, and so one of the things is doing a garden, whether it's vegetables, flowers for the Manampos. This is to get them outside. Aside from their bingo, their karaoke, their dancing, we want them to engage in, planting, which was something that they were doing back then, but unfortunately, of course, the storm, that kind of ended that project. So, 20,000 is for that grant. That grant expires for, the reporting period would be April of this year, April 1st. So, by then, the Vice Mayor would have to exhaust that funding. So, I believe the sidewalk that was put in place was 14,000. So, of course, everything after that would be for his plant bed, flower bed. And I believe that he also has, there may be some that is being donated, so, of course, we're going to take that into account. Not that we're going to pay somebody, it's a donation, but at least that will kind of lessen the cost for him on other things. So, the only expenditure that we have is the service charge for February, which was 15 cents. I'm sorry, going back to the revenue, so of course the interest for February, which was 57 cents. So that brought our balance up to 25,025.59. Service charge of 15 cents, which leaves a balance of 25,025.44. And again, 20,000 is the due amount. And that's the financial report for the non-appropriate funds, the NAP account. Any questions? No questions? Okay. So, there are no more questions in the motion?
All of the changes with the financial report.
There's a motion by, Ms. Tyson, to approve the financial report.
Second.
A second by Mr. Haptek. Any objections? No objections? There being no objections, motion is so carried. Okay, moving to the mayor's report. This would be- Okay, so, I mentioned how we wanted to do the commodities, distribution every month, however, because DHAP's next shipment is not until May 2026. So, right now, we do have commodities, but it's just peanut butter, and things that, we don't want to give only the peanut butter. I know that, for the commodities, we were told that there will be, the canned goods. There's also, I believe, mac and cheese, part of that. So what we want to do is, how we've always been doing it is, we get, a bunch of commodities bagged together, and we usually give out about 100 bags, 200 bags. To residents, and we usually post that on the Yigo chat, and of course, by word of mouth. And so, so far, it's been working. It's unfortunate that right now we don't have a commodity to give out to the community. So we're hoping, the early part of May, that, this shipment will come in, and then, when we do get that, then we will be back on track, end of May, and then it will be June, July, depending on how much commodity we have. But of course, I won't inform you guys, I will also put it out in the chat when we do the distribution. Going back to the village community care grant. That one there initially, I kept mentioning child care stabilization, but it's known as the Village Community Care Grant. This is the $600,000 that was given to each mayor. Again, going back to trying to get the documents for this. I received a letter from OPA February 6th because they too, all the documents that they asked me to provide, none of them was pertaining to this grant. So, in doing their audit with whatever documents that was provided, they are now wanting to come and do audit at the office for this, specifically for this. And then also, they did send a letter, he sent a letter, that, let's see. So according to the letter, due to lack of transition and cooperation from the previous YMO administration, missing documents has high risk for possible government corruption, and therefore take immediate action and appropriate legal and or administrative action.
Is that a suggestion or?
No, well, this is on the letter, so well, what he wants is, because, again, doing the audit, none of these documents are accounted for. So, of course, they can't do their audit. I can't provide them those documents, because I don't have those documents, in hand or at the office. I provided whatever documents they asked, but again, none of them is what they're looking for. So, of course, again, going back to specifically, the legal or administrative action. So, that being said, of course, I don't want to be held responsible for this. I know nothing about this. All I know, well, first of all, not that I don't know anything about it. First of all I know is that the funding was used for the softball, basketball, gymnasium. Those documents, I don't know where they're at. So, I know working with the AG's office from the get-go, trying to seek assistance in obtaining these documents. AG's office gave a letter to the previous mayor, but of course, still no documents were provided. So, that being done, the AG's office, whatever documents they have that I provided them, a lot of the documents that was provided was from the FEMA grants portal because of the softball field and the basketball court that is eligible for reimbursement. We're talking about, that was, 129,000 that can be reimbursed to the Yigo Mayor's office. But we're not able to get that reimbursement until we provide the documents. Proof of payment, invoices, what have you. So, again, the reason for me seeking the AG's assistance was in hopes of getting these documents to request for that reimbursement, because there is a timeline with FEMA, the end of this year.
Well,
December.
we have, 2027 is the actual end of the period of performance. That's May 2027. But of course, we'd like those documents early so that we have the opportunity before the expiration to validate that and then pay out. That process takes a while, so hopefully by the end of this year, we can provide those documents, that we have all of 2027, the first 5 months to validate and pay out, and then close out the project.
Yeah, so I'd say it's been a year that I've been trying to obtain those documents, and still, I haven't been successful, so, I'm just thinking because we want that reimbursement, 129,000 may not be a lot, but it's something that we can
Yes.
use for this community. My next step would be, I guess, go to the AGs. That would be my next step, is, going to the AGs. Of course, in the beginning, when I was, working with the AGs, it was on the civil side, trying to get all those. Well, now, because, the letter from the OPA, now I'm going to shift it to the legal side. So, I'm hoping, as much as I wanted to not even go that far, but, $129,000, that's just it's coming to my mind, that we can use for this community.
I think you satisfied every step of trying to, make sure you try our best, check all the boxes, try different avenues to get this information, if I'm not able to,
Yes.
and there's only one.
So,
Okay.
like I said, I'm not asking this money for myself, this money belongs to the community. So, it's just a matter of how do I approach this. But, of course, I will keep you guys posted, keep you guys in the loop, and, again, hopefully we're able to get something out of this. Yes.
I was just gonna comment, we gave him enough time, so that,
Thank you.
to get that, and we're, and, so, you have to do a job with different communities.
Yes, thank you for that. So it's just a matter again of how am I going to approach this too. In speaking with someone, they said, oh, go to GP, but then, what do I tell GPB? Right?
It's eight,
So I figured, okay,
but
yes, so I figured, okay, I will just work with the UG school site directly. So, I will be, sending a letter to the AG's office, requesting the assistance on this. So, again, hoping that, this gets resolved. Any questions? Any comments? No? Okay, moving on to item 4, 103. So if you've noticed, 2 brand new white trucks. Yes, we got those 2 vehicles. Actually, my understanding is, each mayor's office got a new truck. But because Yigo, our vehicles is either a 1-for-1, you get 1 new one goes down. So, we figured, okay, they're gonna give us 2. So we got 2. We also got a van and an Xterra that was transferred from the Superior Court to the mayor's office. The van is up and running, it's being used. The Xterra was running, we managed to drive it up here, but then, of course, finding out there was an issue with it, but I believe if we just get the part correct, then we could get it running. But, yes, any vehicle that we can get that's operational, whether it's secondhand, I'm willing to take it, considering the condition of our vehicles. So, yes.
Is there a phone key for a new truck?
No,
Yeah,
however, no, we had no choice but to go back to the dealer and request. So, and at the same time, what I've been doing is, having Ethan, do a list of everything that we need to get for our official vehicles. If it's light bulb that needs to be replaced, brake pads, we're working on preparing those. So we're just working on getting the parts, ensuring that we get the right part number, and then we will work on preparing those parts. Likewise, equipment, a few of our equipments went down, so, and because these are the old equipment, so of course we are having to replenish them, so we're working on purchasing new equipment as well. Any questions? Okay, so moving to the senior center, as I mentioned, the kitchen renovation is currently ongoing. That one was $24,850, and that was awarded to BT Construction. Currently working on the procurement for the retiling, the windows, and the leaks. So I'm hoping that we can address all these issues, before we bring them back. Another one that, I'm looking at working on is the restrooms. The two restrooms, in speaking with the manager, when they did, a little renovation there, for some reason, the shower doesn't work anymore. And, the restrooms were backing up, so they had to, change out the restroom, the toilet bowls, and now the water is surface. The water line is surface. So, again, this building was built in '99. So, of course, everything, the condition of the center itself, of course, we need to upgrade. So, that's one of the things that, I'm working on.
Excuse me.
Any questions? So, that concludes my report.
Just an update on the outside. So the sidewalk has been done. We went through the whole coding process and whatnot, and there was part two as well to PC construction. So that was done within the 20 days time period that they have. And they were reported at $14,500. And then so now what it is having the rest of the quotes for materials that are needed to fully expand ground. And for the one that should be done by the end of this month, early April. So yeah, so of course, I just want to bring that out again. Anybody who has any ideas or contributions to the garden, feel free to let me know. Okay, I already have BOG involved. I made contact with Department of Agriculture and Forestry, and they're going to come out to help as well. And we also have contribution of compost topsoil, which brought the ground outside to northern Guam. So yeah, so those guys, and the one who set that all up, these guys are all from Yigo too, so really nice to have the Yigo community come on and do stuff like that. So again, if there's any anyone you guys want to contribute, yeah, so something that I was doing was I have a lot of people who have Christmas trees, right? Yeah, they want to see disposed of, and agriculture is offering, forestry is offering that for every Christmas tree that you give to them, they get to give you a native tree in return. So I was able to gather close to 10 Christmas trees. We get some native plants in return, so we put down in soil. But then not anything decorative, right, per se, but more like fruit trees, and yeah, and then we've got Easter tree there too. I don't know, they gave all the signs, including the sugar, right? Oh, yeah, for sure. So,
It's good. Did you have
yeah, so by the end of the month, and then early into April is when she ready to be able to have it ready for the but as far as when planting the ground, it's like so already started with lemongrass outside, but that was also to work as a barrier. If you notice in this corner of the parking lot, there's always erosion happening, there's always rocks coming down in the area. So it's supposed to act as a barrier to keep that from happening in the future. And then of course, if we're doing as a tree on the Fiesta Float, then we have yeah, so if anyone wants to help contribute, put down, you want to get some government solar on the
We're gonna have some seed in the house, and then you just try to sponsor it. So I'll see what I have. I'll check my everything there.
I think we're used to see it.
We'll check on my capacity.
I have some avocado, they're about 3 Is that something that the gardens would hold?
Yeah, well, so, correct me if I'm wrong, but the government property stretches along this side, onto the hill, so we can even add it up there. But we just have to think about it, not being able to go up there and pick out water and,
Avocado a good idea, however, I wouldn't recommend that we put it in the building because, yeah, for the,
Yes. But I read also have like Optus and some others. Yeah.
That's sort of.
You want to know that we're looking for is anything, garden, because, like you said, it's a garden, and we want to, give them enough, access to like fruits and vegetables and whatnot, but, a lot of what we see here is just like flowers, like what, flowers and beautiful, something nice to look at.
anything else? Moving on to, old business. Item A, rural CDBG DR location. So, this thing here, I've always talked about, the flooding in East Cachemira, Mariana's Terrace, and then just recently, last week, I got a call from, Mr. Ignacio at Gatabunas. So, the inlet is, I believe, right outside his backyard. The outlet for that is across the street, which, I had spoken to him and I mentioned to him that because it's across the street, we need to identify whether it is a government easement or military, whether it's Anderson. Because if it's a government easement, then, definitely we can do something about maintaining that, and ensuring that, water is able to flow through. Because what happened, in Mawar was, his home got flooded because of all that water, wasn't able to drain. And so, that not draining built up in his yard, and of course flooded his home. So, that, I believe, during, I believe it was between 97 and 2012, it was constantly flooding, only to find out that, I don't know whether the military did it or who did it, but they took a boulder and they placed it at the outlet. So none of that water was going through, and so that's the reason why that section was always getting flooded. So of course, later on, moving forward, that boulder was removed, and so again, Mawar, he got flooded. So according to him, the only one that gets flooded there would be his resident, his place. And so, I did talk to him and I mentioned to him that first we need to find out whether that is, government or Anderson's site. His main concern is just trying to keep it clear, because, a few times he had to go there and clear it because what they were doing is they were covering it up. So of course, that would lead to the flooding in his residence. So that was one of the current concerns. Again, going back to the CDBG DR, definitely, I would like to apply for that grant. I did meet with Europe. They came to the office, they did their presentation. I still have to put in the notice of intent. This is the $500 million that, is for this, CDBG-DR. So of course, I'm gonna take that opportunity, to apply for that grant in hopes of mitigating these issues. Today, I was visited by BSC, James Pangolin and Christian Benitez. They're from the Guam Coastal Management Program. So what they're trying to do is do an assessment of, the residential storm water flooding conservation. Where are the gaps with policy as far as, parental subdivisions that happens and, the flooding that doesn't get addressed. We had a chance to go out. We took them out, to these areas, East Gajanero and Marianas Terrace. Because those are the ones that are heavily flooded during, heavy rainstorms and also, typhoons. And so, I thought that when they emailed me, it was because, I had spoken to, the front office about addressing this issue. I thought that that was the whole reason why they were here, but they're doing an assessment. And so what they'd like to do is, conduct a town hall meeting, and do a data collection from residents from these areas. And so of course that, we are trying to coordinate. Of course, he has to go back and speak to his bosses. And so once we identify that, then we will have that town hall meeting. And he will explain what their program is about. Of course, another issue is, the street names. All the street names and the traffic signs that we have in Yigo, as a result of, malware. In doing some research with, Guam Recovery Office, DPW, who has jurisdiction over the signs, does not have a project worksheet for Yigo signs. The only one, of course, I reached out to them, to DPW, asking, what is their plans for the street signs. They're only taking care of routed roads, so we're talking about Route 1, Route 29, Route 9, Route 3, Route 15. Now, the concern that I have is we also have all these secondary roads that don't have street signs. As you know, it's gonna cost us, because we're not only purchasing the sign, but we're also purchasing the hardware, getting that sign up, cement, the posts, what have you. And we're talking about over 200 signs that we have to go out and put up, order and put up. So, I'm taking the CDBG DR approach. I'm going to put in, the notice of intent to apply for that funding for street signs, because I did inquire, and, I said, well, I would think it would be under hazard mitigation, because again, we're dealing with emergency vehicles, you know, and so, the lives of our residents. So I would think that, okay, this would be under that, program. However, if it's not under this program, hazard mitigation, then I would have to apply under another program, which is a competitive program. So not only the Juvenile Office, but any other agency that would apply under this program, under that specific program, I would be competing against.
I think it should qualify at least for the emergency vehicle size, especially where I say on top of, when they did the numbering system, because it was a lot agricultural, for some reason, all the houses were, all the same number of letters, so it goes from A all the way to like H. It's all 191, and then A, E, and because the houses all came at different times, it's not in order, so A will be here, B is in the back, so it's very, you know, that we're just so used to when emergency vehicles come in, you automatically go out to respond because there's no street signs, because, you know, typhoon and stuff like that. So we always go out just to see whose house they're looking for, and then you know, like, okay, you're like 3 turns down to the right, you know, it might be in that area based off the neighborhood. Or, you know, they're what they're looking for.
So, you know, again, going back to the signs. We're talking about over 200 signs. So again, that was my approach is, well, it's there and we're able to, then I'm going to take a shot at it. So,
Doesn't, the mayor's council have, some grant writers?
no, we don't. That's the challenge is,
Because a grant writer would be able to look at the grant and formulate the justification. That way, you increase the likelihood that it gets approved. So if they make the justification align with the purpose of the grant. I know some of the employees there may not be officially titled as grant writers, but they're trained as, they have certifications as grant writers.
no, so with the mayor's council now to date, I can tell you one employee is from 20 years ago. Everybody there is pretty much new, or been there every year.
I know Amber is a trained grant writer. She might not be occupying a grant writing position, but she knows how to do grants.
Thanks for that information, I will reach out to her. Very, very, very. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Amber,
Yeah, Ms. Sanchez.
oh yeah, she's just,
Or Sanchez,
or whatever.
yeah. Okay. I will reach out to her.
My money.
Okay. So going back to the street signs, one of the requirements, would be for the Yigo Mayor's office to enter into a memorandum of, understanding or memorandum of agreement with DPW, because they have jurisdiction over the signs. So what I need to establish is, okay, DPW, you're not applying for the grant, I'm going to apply for it. But we need to have that, MOA. And that's one of the requirements. So, I was working on a draft MOA. I didn't finish it, but, I will make sure that I can finish it tomorrow, and maybe if I can, maybe send it to you, Pete, just take a look at it, and,
I mean, also with, speed limit signs, not that anybody pays attention to them, but those are under the purview of the chief of police. So, it's the chief of police that is responsible for doing those. It's not DPW actually.
okay, so then that means it would be, two MOAs then.
Right, unless they change it, but it used to be the chief of police that's responsible for that, the law enforcement.
And, I think, because, when I emailed DPW, inquiring whether they're going to apply for the grant, and that if not, that I would have to, go into an MOA. I got a response from, the deputy director, Linda Ivanis, yesterday, asking if I had a draft MOU. So, I'm thinking, okay, so maybe they're okay with an MOA where I will apply for this grant. Because again, I'm not talking about private roads, I'm talking about secondary roads
Right.
that they don't go into, so, of course, I will make sure that I work on that, tomorrow, and if I can send it to you, just send it to me. And then if there's anything that, maybe I can share with the council, and if there's anything that maybe I didn't include there that, I should, but, yes, an MOA is required. Ethan attended the, final workshop for this last week, Friday at VOG. So what they're going to do is kind of like the FEMA program. They will they will open up the grants portal. So when they open up the grants portal, they're looking at March 31st. So once that opens up, if I have the MOA, that's something that I would have to, I would upload into the grants portal. Other documents that I'm required, would have to go into that portal. The first step though is getting the notice of intent to, hazard mitigation, state officer, who is Lloyd Covenant. So once I get that, and that's for the hazard mitigation, or the mitigation program. Once I get that in, okay, so they know that I'm an applicant. And that, when they open that portal, I should have access to that portal. And so, of course, that's the first step. What I'm doing is, I do have the form, I'm filling it out, but what I'd like to do is, what I've been doing is actually going out to, East Gatineau and identifying the areas that needs addressing. So that I'd like to take that map and attach it to the NOI so they know what we're talking about. This is where we are, this is the area that we need to take a look at. And so, again, with that, I did request, DPW, if they had an, assessment done to these areas. I don't think so because it's been a year since I requested. So I'm guessing that there was no assessment done. But nonetheless, I'm still moving forward to, getting, that NOI in so that, these can be considered. Another thing, under the CDBG, the other programs, because the senior center received damages from Maui. They do qualify, but how long it's gonna take for that funding to get here, and that's the reason why I'm moving forward to do it with our budget. Because this fix and six, the fix and six is the 6 years actually, but now we're doing 5 years. I don't think that the center, the Monarchs can wait 5 years. So, that's the reason why I'm just moving forward with that. But other than that, I'm trying to identify other areas that we can, look into, applying for the grant, whether it's the renovation of the softball field, whether it's, renovations of the Yakinas Park. There's a park up there, by the way, that is, dilapidated. So, that's one of the things that I'd like to address as well. Any questions on that? Next item is the Liberation Pageant. So last year, again, we had one candidate. We were pretty much in the last one to submit a candidate. Registration is open, by the way. Age is 18 to 31. Again, whatever rules applied last year applies this year. I know this year they tried to introduce a list of liberation, but that got shut down. Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't want to take away from the liberation queen, you know, so.
They already have a Mr. Vaughn pageant, and my son is last year's Mr. Vaughn, so. Yeah, they still have something for the guys.
As a matter of fact, that was one of the things that was brought up by the committee chair, is, you know, there wasn't Mr. Vaughn, we can do Mr. Liberation. We don't want to take away from the liberation queen, so. Yeah, so, yeah, that was shot down, so now it's back to just the Liberation Queen candidate. So, again, I'm asking for your help in seeking a candidate for Yigo. You know, again, the deadline for the deadline for fundraising efforts is June 12th. So, everything that we do, I think it should be even before June 12th. Yeah, we're only talking about 3 months from now. So, and again, the minimum, is 2,000, which is the sponsorship, 2,000 like last year.
And I think the deadline to submit a candidate is April, sometime in April 24.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So, minimum of 2,000 for fundraising efforts no later than Friday, April 24th. To the Hog at Mayor's office. So 5 p.m., April 24th is the deadline. So it's just a matter of finding a candidate. Again, they can be married, they can have children, as long as they're not pregnant during the competition, and their ages 18 to 31. So if you know anybody who's willing to participate and be a candidate to represent Yigo, we have the packet, please let us know.
And just for awareness, I do know that there's at least a couple of other villages that already have candidates and are already aggressively
Yes,
fundraising.
yes, as a matter of fact, our job now already has their candidate, they did a fundraising, I believe, last month or 2 months ago.
Saturday as well.
Saturday, but you know, with Saturday, August, you know, these things are already established, you know, and so, again, just last year, we even had a hard time finding a candidate. So, you know, are we gonna have a hard time this year? I don't know, it's just a matter of going out and, do they finish tomorrow? Do they finish tomorrow? No.
That's just just Chico. Just the Chico is.
To represent you.
It's a pageant, right? That's literally, it's a hard.
Yes, and, you know, last year, that was one of the things that we brought up is, I guess what makes it even harder, because in previous years, it's just selling tickets, selling the booklets, that's it.
And then writing the grade, right?
Yeah. Well, last year, of course, it was changed, to, money raised, you have the pageant, the actual pageant, where you have what is it,
There's like a dress competition. There's
evening
question-
gown competition, they have,
Native wear.
native wear competition, they have the question and answer portion, so, you know, I think this is what scared our potential candidates, because, you know, it changed, the dynamics of this competition changed from just selling tickets to actual pageant. So,
So I think the focus has changed on, you know, before it was, the focus was on raising money so that they can do the liberation activities like the carnival and everything else. And so since we're not doing all that anymore, the thought was, okay, let's make it an actual pageant.
and that is actually one of the reasons is because, the comment was, well, anybody can raise that amount of money, but truly, what does it mean to you? So that's one of the reasons why it was changed. So again, if you know anybody, April 24th is the deadline to submit, 5 p.m. Final counting is June 12th, and that is the deadline for fundraising efforts. Any questions?
Related but slightly different topic, is there going to be a budget from GDP for float?
No. Not like before, how they would normally assist. Yeah. So again, going back to the float, the construction of the float would take place up at the gym. The theme, we kind of got an inkling, but it's not confirmed, so, you know, I'm waiting for that confirmation so that we can get a head start. You know, a lot of the The floats revolve, their theme revolves around the theme of the liberation. And again, all natural resources. So, we kind of have an idea of what we want in it, but, again, it's just a matter of confirming the theme of this year's liberation. And then we can work on that. And so I'm trying to get confirmation because we want to get a head start. Last year, we started, I think it was 2 weeks before liberation. And so, again, although I said, okay, we're here to just for participation, not competition, but, eventually we're gonna get to that point where, hey, we're in it to win.
Well, I know a couple of villages that only started a couple of nights before liberation.
So, and because again, this is our first term, and again, some of us are still getting our feet wet again. So, we like to get that start on the foot, so that we're not spending all night. Thanks to the vice mayor and the maintenance guys last year, who took the lead on this.
I think the other thing to consider too is securing the trailer and the truck
Yes.
early. Because
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that happened last year is like everybody was already committed. Somebody else.
Yes. But, at the same time, also we have to give the, whoever is going to own this, the trailer, we have to give them ample time because, we don't know if they're using that for their business.
Right.
So we're taking them away from their business.
Mhm.
So, that's one of the considerations that we need to look into is, the earliest July 21st, of course, we're not gonna ask you, can you get it?
Oh,
in
right,
March?
but just if they're committed,
Yeah.
somebody else might ask you for us.
Yeah, so, and likewise the driver,
Right.
yeah, we had that issue last year, so, but yes, definitely, we will, reach out to, companies and if you guys know anybody who's willing to loan their trailer, their flatbed, and also, driver, we'd be more than happy to get their assistance on that. Any questions? Any?
And that's something she said, children reference.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so that is the last item of our agenda on old business, we covered new business, any announcements? Any announcements? Okay, so, again, Easter's coming up. April 5th, I believe, is Easter. What we do, like last year, is we have it, 1 week prior. So we're looking at March 28th, which is a Saturday, of course, 10 o'clock, but, we'd like to be there at 8 o'clock to set up, and we are looking at Upi Elementary. Last year, we had it at Machinana, and, I like to also have it at Upi, only because, we have students who may not have made it up to Machinana, last year, so we'd like to, bring it to where the kids are able to come out. And so, Upi Elementary, playground is where, we're looking at having the event. And this is for March 28th. March 28th, 10 o'clock, but, of course, getting the assistance from, council, just, if you guys would like to, help out, you just call the office, sooner. And, of course, we're gonna have, refreshments like we did last, year. Hot dogs, drinks for the kids and their parents. But, for the most part, just been there and, helping.
Just a curious question, I remember last year, if I'm not mistaken, DL Paris was actually the first church that had an issue with
Their playground is
Still,
condemned.
So still, their playground is condemned. So, we don't want to, impose, I don't know if they have any other playground in the school.
I know there's construction going on.
And yes, on construction, so,
so they're still gonna able to host.
yes. And I had to go to Ruby Elementary to just kind of like take a look at the area and, the pictures that she provided in the video, it shows, a very good place because it's open, but at the same time, there's a playground equipment that the kids can use during or after. So it's a pretty big, open space, that we can have it. So. Okay. Any other questions? Any announcements? No? Okay, it is now 8:11 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.